Wife is pregnant with new baby, discovered by reading her messages that she cheated on me 5 years ago. Story 1. I'm married to, and still in love with, the most amazing man ever. No kids yet. We've been together for over 7 years, married for over 5. We're both in our late 20s and have done the LDR thing through at least half of our relationship since he joined the military a few months after we met. With 2 deployments under our belts without so much as a wandering eye, I thought this third one would be a breeze. Not only was it the most emotionally hellish experience of my life, I ended up cheating. Something I never in my life could have imagined I would ever do. There were 2 men. I knew them both before the incidents, but I didn't physically cheat with either of them. It was all over the internet. One guy, it only happened once with. We were chatting, things got flirty, went further, pics were exchanged, and that was it with him. After beating myself up for a couple of months, to the point of feeling suicidal, I finally told my husband I'd been afraid to bother him with anything while he was away. I figured it was stressful enough. He was disappointed, but said he wasn't really mad, and it wasn't as big a deal as I'd apparently thought. All he wanted was for me to cut ties with this guy and move along. So I did. About a month later, with a different guy I knew, I ended up doing it again. Only this time, more than once, numerous pictures were exchanged, and we even Skyped. I felt horrible. I don't even know why I did it the first time. In all honesty, he made me feel great. I felt wanted, and the whole experience was a little exhilarating while it was happening. But it wasn't worth it. Not in the least. And I knew it wasn't while it was all going on, so I don't know why I just kept doing it. I definitely felt suicidal again. I finally confided in a friend about a week before my husband came home, but I thought it'd be better if I just kept this one from my husband. I should have told him straight out. I'm not good at keeping secrets from him, so he could tell immediately that something was wrong. That, coupled with the paranoia he was feeling from the malaria pills he had to take, drove him to do some investigating on my computer, which he's always had total access to since before this. I'd never had anything to hide from him. I don't blame him for that at all, especially after the first incident. He found chat logs and confronted me when I came home from work that day. He was obviously crushed, but amazingly so calm, and so concerned about how I would handle it. He also forgave me. He said we'd work through it, I just had to cut ties with this guy too. This time was a lot harder though. I was, and still am, a lot more attached emotionally to this guy. Not in a romantic way at all. I considered him a good friend before all the other stuff started. I reluctantly told him what happened and that we couldn't be in touch anymore, and we haven't been since then, for only about a month and a half at this point. I want him back in my life though, as a friend. I miss him terribly already, which makes me feel horrible and guilty. I'm starting to feel a bit obsessive about him too. I think about him a lot, wonder how he's doing, check up on his Facebook to the best of my ability, not being his friend anymore more often than I probably should. Actually, I know perfectly well I shouldn't be checking it at all. It's horrible. Besides that, the way my life is right now is amazing. In our home life, it's almost like nothing ever happened. As a couple we're doing really well, which also makes me feel horrible and guilty. I feel like I haven't properly suffered for what I did yet, and that he forgave me too quickly, but I can't seem to talk to him about that because I don't want to rain on his parade. I don't want him to know I'm still dwelling if he's just fine and moved on. I'm worried if I bring any of this up, it will stir up all those horrible feelings from the day he found out. I'm not sure why I wanted to post this. Maybe I need some help figuring out whether to bring it up to my husband, and how. Or I just needed to get it out. It all really is eating away at me. Any advice or words of wisdom would be amazing. Redditor 1, I think that when you cheat on your partner with someone, you sort of forfeit your right to have that person as your friend. It then really becomes something that your partner gets a say in. If he wants you to cut ties, then you should respect his wishes. That being said, I have been in your situation before, and my partner decided that he trusted me enough to let me continue the friendship, which I assume was because of how honest I had been throughout the ordeal and because of the nature of the friendship. Long story. Aside from the cheating, I think where you went really wrong was not being honest right away. That made you pretty untrustworthy to him, I'd think, so I'm not sure you really have any option but to just deal with the mistake you made and move on. Get a hobby, make some new non-sexy friends, and save your marriage. But finally, if this is something that's really eating away at you, maybe you should find someone you can talk to about it. Redditor 2, I'm with Mawkish, go see a counselor to see why you're repeatedly sabotaging your amazing marriage. What's going on with you? If you don't get to the root of this self-destructive behavior, you're going to end up divorced. I don't think you even know why you're doing this. Story 2, throwaway account while I assess my options as I'm not sure what to do here. My 29M wife 28F and I have been married for 8 years, during which I've always had a full-time job and she's been a student. We have a 6-year-old child already and just a couple of weeks ago successfully got pregnant with our second child, which we've told our families about but not our friends. We are generally happy together. We've obviously had ups and downs like anyone, but now we do love each other. First part of the very long story: a few years ago my wife was out with some friends and unexpectedly didn't come home while I was babysitting our infant. Her story at the time was that she had stayed at a friend's house, and I had no reason to doubt this because the friend in question had also been my friend since we were very young kids, so I kind of thought if anything had gone down then I'd know. At this time she had just about gotten over a bad bout of postnatal depression, which I supported her through as best I could, and I was overjoyed she was seeing her friends and had a hobby. I did ask her what had gone on and she said they'd just gone for more drinks, and I trusted her, so that was fine. A few months later she gave up on the boxing, but again nothing really seemed that unusual. I didn't think about it again for years. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, I heard a comment from someone who only vaguely knows me saying that he has no idea what his wife is up to, and then later referring to her as a serial adulteress. My wife was with me at the time and we both agreed it was bizarre because it seemed that way. This wasn't the only time I'd heard something along those lines, but I trusted her. The difference was that this was the most concrete statement I'd ever heard on it, and to me clearly merited discussion with her. After this chat with my wife I thought I was fine, but my mind started to work overtime and I realized there have been a few incidents in years since the boxing night where she's not come home, which started to niggle at me. I have always asked questions the day after, but explanations have always seemed reasonable and usually backed up by friends. Also, I believe that I should take her word, and if I can't trust her then we probably shouldn't be together, so I've never asked to see her messages or anything like that. I'm in no way the jealous type, so even though I knew she was messages various people all the time, it really didn't bother me. For the last few weeks, my wife has been using my work phone for her Facebook and Messenger accounts. Today I logged into what I thought was my own Messenger account and realized straight away it wasn't, and was about to log off until I saw some weird unread messages from friends who were there on that boxing night that made me stop. I've never been interested in her messages before and I know I shouldn't have done it, but the overheard comments had got in my head, and after a couple of weeks of mulling it over I honestly felt like her friends around me knew something I didn't. I looked back and found 5-year-old messages between her and a guy from that night in question, and also messages from this guy's wife who has since divorced him, which confirmed something had happened between them, which she said was a mistake, but she liked him. They obviously liked each other, but their circumstances with their children wouldn't allow them to carry on. She told him he was a good guy and that she was sorry. Obviously this was a huge punch to the gut, and I felt devastated, as if I'd been an idiot to trust her all these years. I also felt a responsibility to look at myself and wonder what I'd done that drove her to that at the time. Since calming down, I feel pretty terrible for having looked at her messages, and like I've also broken her trust now. She knows any sort of cheating is a deal breaker for me, and if it wasn't for our new baby being on the way I would be happy to confront her about it, and my feeling is that would probably end in separation. If I'd known about this in 2015 I would have certainly left her at the time and been able to single parent our one child. My dilemma now is that we are in the early stages of a second child on the way, and I feel it would be wrong to leave her at this stage when she and my kids need my support, as it's not either of the children's fault, and I know the older child would be absolutely devastated if I did this. This incident I have proof of happened more than 5 years ago now, and she's lied to me about it that whole time, which is what gets me the most. I now feel like there's probably been other incidents and I don't know if I can get back to the level of trust I had or even if I was right to give her the benefit of any doubt. I couldn't the kind of partner who demands to check her phone and things like that because I feel like that's pretty toxic behavior and I feel bad enough for checking up this time even though I turned out to be right. I worry confronting her about it might just make her better at hiding it now should we stay together, and I feel like I've probably been in denial of a number of red flags over the years. I haven't spoken to her yet, but I can't let this go and I don't intend to. I also messaged the guy's ex-wife to ask her if she could fill in any details for me, which I'm not sure was the correct call because I shouldn't be dredging up something she probably doesn't want to talk about either, but it was my knee-jerk reaction. Now I'm not sure if I even want to know what went on any more than I already do. I'm pretty lost and I really don't know if I can regain the trust, and I feel like I've wasted 5 years of my life supporting a woman who now I don't think ever cared much for me. I want to take a few days before I confront her to see how my feelings develop. If I'd found out the pregnancy, there's no question I'd leave her and be done with it. To me, almost 10 years of trust have effectively broken down. I think I need to be honest when I confront her and own up to what I've done with the messages also, which I accept as part of the trust problem. My gut feeling now is telling me I need to be here for my new child when it comes, and I feel like if we split I'll be cut out of a lot of that, which isn't fair because I'm not the one who's caused this and I really don't know what to do or how to approach it. I really feel like if I make the wrong call here I will mess up mine and both my children's lives. Update: I've heard back from the other guy's ex from the time. She says that she came home that night and there was a group of people in the house, and she later discovered the same messages on his phone, but is 100% certain nothing physical ever happened with that particular guy on that particular night. She also ditched him for cheating on her with someone else later on, so she's no reason to cover up or to lie, but TBH, that doesn't mean she isn't wrong about what happened. We don't know each other and she doesn't wish for the past to be brought up again, so I've thanked her for the help she has given and I won't contact her again out of respect. Clearly I am going to confront my wife about it for those asking. I have to and never intended not to. I felt it was important to calm down first and to make sure I had all the facts I can still get from something that went on 5 years ago. Regardless of the ex's explanation, my wife clearly still has questions to answer. I think the question left for me is how exactly to approach the conversation. A lot of people have mentioned DNA testing. Child number 1 is mine beyond any doubt, and I'm not really looking to be told I'm an idiot for it considering any other possibilities there. For the second baby, abortion isn't an option I'm considering. She's only 6 weeks pregnant, so it's very early stages and we haven't spent a night or any significant amount of time apart since lockdown began, so the timelines simply don't match up. We were also actively trying for this baby, which obviously I would have not done had I known, but it's a bit late for that now. For the most part the last 5 years we've had what I thought was a great relationship, or I obviously wouldn't have wanted to bring another child into it. Redditor 3, first of all, someone out there calls her a serial adulteress. They said is up to, not was up to. Sounds like they think they know more than you. Second, she thinks she got away with her infidelities. How likely is it that she is emboldened by the belief she did not get caught? These are reasons you need to get full disclosure. Question her with the implication that you already know dates and names, you just want her to admit it. Otherwise you will just get minimalization and trickle truth. Redditor 6, it's too late, the bomb had exploded. You can't de-explode it. 1. Things will never be the same. She never really loved you and respected you the same way you respected her. Story 3, don't know how to start, so I just will, I guess. I messed up bad. I was an idiot and I wrote a post yesterday in another sub about wanting an open relationship, and my husband found out. That led to a massive fight and he said some things I didn't like, so I left the house and went for a walk. A coworker of mine, he's the man I wanted to be in an open relationship with, gave me a call and invited me to his house. I decided since the conversation had gotten me nowhere I'd just go ahead with it, so I asked him to pick me up and we went back to his house. We had a few drinks and went to the bedroom. He put the TV on and we watched some stupid film for a few minutes. I was feeling frisky, so I made a move and went down on him. The result was disappointing to say the least. He came in about 20 seconds and without warning. He then basically ignored me and went back to the TV. This went on for about an hour, and just as I was started to think about leaving, he began to started to straddle me. I basically just said screw it and went with it. The time was terrible. Like full on mortifying. He refused to go down on me because his tongue was sore from eating Pringles, so we went straight to time, and it was just 10 minutes of awkward thrusting. He forgot to pull out too. Afterwards he rolled back over and went back to watching TV. I just got dressed and went straight home. On the way back I did some thinking and realized all I wanted was some excitement to escape the routine, and it's not all it's lived up to be. When it comes to actual time, my husband is far better than anyone else I've been with due to sheer experience, and I wish I'd seen that before. I was also very harsh to him. I put down his size in my last post, but after thinking about it, he's around 7 inches, so he's not that small. I was just letting a fantasy of being with someone else take over. When I got home, my husband was still in the kitchen. I tried to talk to him, but he just put headphones in and started to cook pasta. Eventually he took them off and put the pasta in a bowl. I asked if I could have some, and he said he doesn't share and just ate it all. I was exhausted and emotional, so I just went to sleep. He woke me up about an hour later, and I thought he was trying to have time or something, but instead he just took my duvet and threw me a towel before going into the living room and setting up to sleep. I got back to sleep after finding a rug. I tried to talk to him while he was on the couch, but he ignored me. I woke up early because it was cold and the heater was off in my room. That gave me some more time to think, and I realized how badly I messed up and I need to work on being a better wife. I tried to talk to my husband all day. He's just unresponsive. I tried to make a move on him and he rejected me and left the room. He's never once done that before. He'd at least go down on me if he was too tired for time, but today he was just completely disinterested in anything at all. I've noticed he hasn't eaten or drank anything today either. He just looked tired. I tried to sit him down and talk to him, but he just got up and left the house. I tried to call him, but it went to voicemail, so I texted him saying I loved him and for the sake of our marriage we need to talk soon. He texted me back saying this: I do not want a conversation nor a marriage with you any longer. I am going to be staying elsewhere until the new year. When I return, I expect you to be gone. This was my house before and I don't want you here anymore. I've contacted a lawyer and from now on we will communicate via her. I'm no longer using this number. I've made some calls and apparently my husband is staying at my sister's house. I'm concerned because she's attractive and single, and I know she's had a little crush on him for a while now. I have a feeling she's going to use this to try and make a move. I texted her and asked her what's going on, and she said she loves me but she's not going to support me after what I did and that we shouldn't talk for a little while. I understand I messed up, but she's my sister and she's supposed to be there for me right now, not playing housewife to my husband. I have a friend who lives near my sister and she told me that apparently my husband and sister were shopping together earlier and that she was acting like his girlfriend. I really don't know what to do about that, but I feel betrayed. I love my sister, but I hate her right now for what she's doing. I just hope my husband doesn't let her have her way with him. This has been a really long day and so much has happened and I really don't know what to feel or do right now. I just want things to be normal again. Sorry for the essay, but I just wanted to vent a bit. I know I fucked up, but I never thought it would get this bad. Redditor 8, I found this story on social media and I just came here to say, you're an ex now and you deserve it. Your sister isn't wrong, you are. You said marriages were a compromise, but that only works for things in the marriage, not for who you're married to. Plus he said no, there has to be an agreement between both parties before you go from monogamous to polyamorous. Edit, sorry I saw it on my egg feed. Redditor 9, wow, so now you are married and worried. You stepped out of your marriage, had time with another man. Trust me, your husband knows. You had the time bareback. The only reason you were upset because the time stunk. No offense, you cheated. You broke your vows. Found out the outside the marriage wasn't necessarily better. Now suddenly now you found out how good you had it. You insulted him, destroyed his feelings. Made fun of him. You really did mess up. There is no coming back. Redditor 10, anonymous or not, what woman posts such intimate details about her spouse's body? You feel betrayed, but you betrayed your husband. Just because she's your sister doesn't entitle you to receive emotional support in this situation. I think you need to enlist the help of someone like a therapist to talk to for support. Your husband is going through the stages of grief and you have to accept that any reparation is in his time and terms. You can help him by getting individual help for yourself.